All right, gang. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks to everyone who has been patiently sitting and waiting. I last minute posted, well, not well, yeah, pretty last minute posted on YouTube, and for the folks on the Discord so they would know as well that I'd be starting late tonight. One of the fun things that can happen in pregnancy is sudden drops of blood pressure that also make you really faint and dizzy and woozy and feel like you're going to pass out. And I experienced one of those as I was getting ready to come on tonight, and I actually spent the last hour was me just basically sitting and living on the floor, just trying to like catch my breath and exist. So, maybe not so patiently, but I did see some folks speculating as to whether or not I had gone into labor. I have not gone into labor, not yet. I just was basically sitting on the floor, not able to really do much else. But I'm here now, so we're starting late. We're still gonna have to end at the regular time. I don't know if I'll be able to stream much longer than that anyways. I think that and not getting enough sleep and trying to do too many things today was not enough snacks was not a good combination. So just also ate some Oreos to hopefully get a sugar boost. So, I see that we already got some super chats in while you guys were waiting. We have one in from Loves a 1911, said thanks for the mods for being in the house. Yes, thank you mods for being there and being not square. James Parsons is also a member now, so welcome James. We have Trashman's intro here. Live from the baby shower state, it's the lady more qualified to run transportation than Pete, can manage defense better than Lloyd, and poor Joe still doesn't know who Brandon is. So with that, here's Dolly. Thank you. I don't know if you guys saw it, but apparently someone went full capitalism and trademarked Let's Go Brandon, which is pretty brilliant. I wish I had thought of it, honestly. So now all those folks that are making t-shirts and stuff like that have to either like cease and desist or like pay the trademark person royalties. I mean, peak capitalism there. Aaron Miller, thank you for the donation. And Destiny Troll, thank you, says, all right, y'all, let's get this ball rolling. This is for the diaper fund. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I was on the quest today to start to try to find some deals for the stuff left on the registry, and I might have done too much on not enough snacks, like I said, but did find some baby clothes, some good like baby clothes that I still needed out of a 99-cent bin. So I would say all in all, it was a win. A Cyclone Steve says more qualified to run transportation than Pete. Who isn't? Yeah, isn't he on maternity leave or something while all the port issues are going crazy? And now Joe Biden says that maybe he'll enact the National Guard for this. And Gardner says, this is my thank you for yesterday's great live show, too. You make this dude shake his head with amazement at your powers, woman. Thank you. And so as I was pulling up the articles for today, and I know I usually jump in and greet everyone and all of that, but I'm going to try to get as much of the information out in the hour as possible. So know that I can see you, and I know that you're here. But yeah, so as I was pulling out the articles for today's stream, I actually saw this that had nothing to do with it. Well, nothing to do with the original topics for tonight, but I'm gonna have to do a deeper dive into this. This is probably gonna be a video, but check this out. This is what I saw here while I was pulling up the articles for today's stream about like the Chicago PD and what's going on with that, and the National Institute of Health Gain of Function. Check this out. Retailers lining store shelves with props to hide supply shortage. Do you know who does this? North Korea does this. Along the demilitarized zone where South Koreans and, Americans visiting South Korea and whoever can see across across the border and stuff to look into North Korea, they lined their storefronts with props and cardboard cutouts and fake food to make them look prosperous. Fucking American retailers are doing the same thing. How crazy is that? Look at this. It talks. This article is from Zero Hedge. So I'm gonna see what else I can find out about this and do a separate video. I just wanted to touch on this real quick since I talked yesterday about the supply chain issues and how Jen Psaki is calling it a high-class problem and the issue of the late treadmill. And all these media people are saying that we need to lower our expectations of the economy and of Biden. And now we have this. So I guess a week ago, Empty Shelves Joe was one of the hottest trends on Twitter. And I showed yesterday how if you do a DuckDuckGo search for empty shelves, you get a whole bunch of anti-Biden t-shirts. And this picture is just great. It says, retailers have since panicked and social media users are now pointing out that some store shelves are lined with single items to hide the supply shortage. So apparently we have, what is this? Peanuts? I'm not even sure. What is this? I can't tell what this is. Or maybe it's those like crispy, crunchy noodles. And it looks like we got some apple juice and some soda or grape juice and Goya beans maybe. But look, it's all just like one row of things. So, it's not quite like fake food yet. It's not quite cardboard cutouts yet, but it's like one line of stuff to try to make the shelves look fuller. And I kind of get that on one end because they don't want people to panic. But look at this whole aisle is just single stack Kraft mac and cheese. And this is great, the little emoji. We have this, like, for some reason, camping chairs. I don't know. This looks like maybe a Target. Just a bunch of camping chairs. Let's see. I'm going to try to put on the desktop volume and see if this works. I don't know if you guys are hearing that. I don't know if there's sound. I'm not hearing it on my end, but I think it should be going direct to you guys. Oh my god, look at, they just filled all these aisles with camping chairs. That's kind of surreal, isn't it? I guess if you need a deal on camping chairs, that's nuts. That's crazy. Some on Twitter explained this is just part of the retailers fronting merchandise, which means they're bringing everything to the front to make the store look as packed as possible. But still, that's pretty surreal and creepy, isn't it? Oh, no sound for you guys? No, alright, well, So I have this button that's supposed to be where I press it and it takes the desktop audio. So I don't know why that didn't work. That'll be a thing for to ask the tech guy on that, but the video spoke for itself. Let me see. I see a couple of super chats and some of the members chatting in here, and then I'll jump into some of the stuff with Chicago here. Let's see. Jiminica says, last trimester is the hardest. I couldn't tie my shoes, sleep well, or drive. My youngest was 14 pounds, 15 ounces. I did not have any other health issues. He's now 6'3", and I'm 5'2". Well, I'm only 5'3". Well, I'm like 5'2 3/4". So, I'm not much bigger than you. I'm still driving. I am not tying my shoes, but that's just because I leave them tied and slip them on, but I have to like sit on the steps or on a footstool to get them on and sleep. Yeah, sleep is Sleep is interesting right now. John Thomas says apparently Candace Owens wants to invade Australia since the Guardian can't take a joke. Really? Well, that's fun. I'll have to look that one up because that would make a fun video. Pickle Dress for Hillary says that the gray, maybe lavender wall is 1,000 times better than the yellow wall. Yes, it is a kind of lavender color, actually. Let's see. Oops, it just scrolled by. John Thomas says, not sure if it was real, but saw a post where it was curtains with canned goods printed on them. I'll have to look for that. That is some pretty crazy stuff. Bruce the Boss Resurrected says, no sound, but I can see we're becoming Venezuela. And Glocks for Kids says, too much demand for those luxury items like a new wheelchair that I'm waiting on. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. Jesse Meek says, F trademarks, let's go Brenda. Oh, I like it. And Jennifer Winkler, Liberty Doggo, he's literally right here. He's next to my chair, hanging out. He was very sad because he was by himself for most of the day today while I was digging through thrift store bargain bins for baby clothes. Because fun fact, everyone says don't register for baby clothes because people will give you tons of baby clothes. Well, not only did the folks on Patreon and Subscribestar and the members go above and beyond anything that my family did, because fun fact, my that family largely did not participate in that, unfortunately. Not only did the folks on Patreon and Subscribestar and all of that go above and beyond, no one sent me baby clothes. So now I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what I need. So I'm in the frantic, like, my baby will be naked unless I start doing something about it. So that was my stuff for today. I see Joshua Queen saying something about My Patriot Supply food is pretty good, and that he's tried some of the stockpile, wish that he could afford more. Yeah, and from what I understand, like Augustin Farms and some of those other companies are also suffering supply chain issues right now. I know someone in the Discord posted, the members Discord posted, Augustin Farms like isn't taking new orders for 90 days or something like that because they can't get in any of the food to freeze dry. And so they're all on back order. And to my knowledge, that is not going on yet with My Patriot Supply. But time will tell on that. Carolyn Peterson says to stock up on diapers. We have begun that process. Trust me. I don't want to buy too many because I don't know. I guess some babies don't agree with certain types of diapers, and I don't know how much of each size I'll need, but right now I have 2 boxes of newborns, 2 or 3 boxes, I think, of size 1 and 2. Like 2 or 3 boxes each, and we might have a box of 3, which I probably won't need for like 2 years or something. But also might have to do the backup cloth diaper route just in case, though that, ugh. I don't know about that. But, alright, so, Chicago, the stuff going on in Chicago is pretty nuts. I'm gonna follow this along the sort of like timeline of how this has been going. So we'll see where it started, and we'll see where it ended up with everything going on in Chicago with the vaccine mandates. So we'll start with this article here from The Truth About Guns with 6, and this is from 4 days ago. So this is before things really even escalated to the point that they're at now. With 684 homicides so far, Chicago threatens to axe half of its 13,000 cops over vaccine mandate refusals. So Chicago is suffering the same thing that we're seeing in a lot of other places right now, of all these cops that are threatening en masse basically to either resign or retire early over vaccine mandates. I did a whole video about that a week or two ago, where you can see some of the different states and even city or county departments that are having these issues where people are just retiring and fighting the vaccine mandates, and they're having their own little freedom flu among the Fraternal Order of Police. So like I said, this is from The Truth About Guns. If there's a city in America that can't afford to fire half of its police officers, that would be Chicago, and that, my friends, is no lie. Yet here we are, nearly half of Chicago's 13,000 sworn cops have declined to share their personal health history regarding vaccinations with the city of Chicago by last Friday's deadline. So we are already a week over deadline at this point in Chicago. And as of 4 days ago, there were still half of the officers that were refusing to provide their proof of vaccination, quote unquote. So naturally, the city is threatening to fire them. Because, you know, Chicago can afford to do that with their 684 homicides that they had as of 4 days ago. It's going to be really exciting to see what happens this weekend. Last weekend, I believe the deadline was like Friday at midnight. And Chicago had a bloody weekend, as it tends to do. I like how they call it the nation's largest open-air shooting range. And that this 684 represents more homicides than 46 states had for all of 2019. And here's a little chart here you can see. So the first bar here is California. We have Texas, Florida, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Georgia. So Chicago has already had more homicides this year than Pennsylvania did in 2019, than Georgia did. I mean, and it's almost up to Florida. Illinois as a whole is at 832. Not far behind Florida here. So, and of course, there's a whole lot of things that go into it. Failing to charge violent felons, affordable bail, blah, 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 blah. And of course, the huge anti-gun laws and gun control that are all over Chicago. But the latest battle between Chi-Town and its police union continues to heat up before a judge yanked the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police Lodge president's right to free speech. John Catanzaro told his officers to follow their conscience on the matter rather than the mandate itself. And it says that now the dispute has gone international, with the Daily Mail picking up the story. So even the Daily Mail is talking about it. It says in a memo sent Sunday night, Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown said that those officers who do choose to retire rather than comply may be denied their retirement credentials, according to the Chicago Tribune. So not only is the city not backing down, now they're saying to some of these cops, well, if you decide to retire early rather than get vaccinated, we're not going to let you collect your retirement. Them's fighting words. That's what that is. Them's fighting words. And I see Gito463 says, my main concern is that the intent of the mandate is to drive out the most upright and trustworthy ones, leaving those who are willing to concede. And that is a fair point. Whether that is the intent or not, that is inevitably what will happen. And the city is also restricting cops from taking time off as this vaccine mandate battle is going on, and as the city again prepares to axe up to half of its 13,000 officers who are yet to declare their COVID-19 vaccination status. In a memo issued by the city's police department a day after officers were required to disclose their vaccine status, officers were informed elective time off will be restricted. Until further notice, the use of elective time by sworn CPD members is restricted. Furthermore, the use of elective time will require prior approval from the deputy chief or above within the requesting member's chain of command. So, one thing to point out here, which was something that I did not know at all, is so you might say, some people might say, well, then fuck it, I just won't get my full retirement or whatever. I don't stand for this mandate. But this points out that those retirement credentials are what allow them to carry a firearm for the rest of their lives under HR 218. So, if they choose to retire early because of this vaccine mandate, and the city says, well, then we're going to withhold your retirement credentials, that means that these cops and former police officers will no longer be able to carry a gun. I mean, I would say, in what world is that legal and okay? And apparently the answer to that is Chicago, with Miss Lori Lightfoot here. And it says, regardless if the Democrat mayor, Lori Lightfoot, does indeed follow through and fires half of the police department, imagine the chaos that will likely erupt. In the meantime, those who haven't yet availed themselves to firearm ownership in Illinois are likely out of luck. Because, of course, you need an FOID card to buy a gun or basically even touch one in Chicago. And it says the good news is that the Illinois State Police will likely issue a new card within 30 days to a new applicant. Even if they have an FOID card, they will need to wait 3 days to take their new purchase home with them. In the meantime, they can hope and pray that violent criminals won't pick them as their next victim. So, that is where this started. This is where it has escalated, where now Lori Lightfoot is saying that not only is she going to try to withhold these retirement benefits and retirement credentials of these police officers, not only is it going to be possible that they might not be able to carry a gun, and definitely won't be able to carry it, throughout other states, because she's withholding retirement credentials, but now she is accusing the police of inducing an insurrection, because insurrection is the new hot buzzword of the year, thanks to January 6th, and you say insurrection, and everyone on the left hangs on your every word, and, marches behind you to your little drum if you just say the word insurrection. So, this was, let's see, so this came out a couple of days ago. So the deadline was, I believe, October 15th. Not even 5 days later, she is accusing the police of staging an insurrection for not going along with her vaccine mandate. Absolute insanity. So this one here is from the Daily Wire. Lori Lightfoot accuses Fraternal Order of Police leader of trying to induce an insurrection over vaccine mandate. So this was on Monday that she did this. So 3 days after the deadline. On Monday, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot accused members of the Fraternal Order of Police of trying to induce an insurrection for protesting the vaccine mandate that went into effect last Friday. The city's vaccine mandate will place officers who do not submit proof of vaccination by the deadline on a no-pay status. The police union is preparing a lawsuit against the city of Chicago, and that was reported by the Washington Examiner back on October 13th. And then after that, the Fraternal Order president issued a video in which he stated, we're not going to watch the video because we're not getting the desktop sound, apparently. So we'll just read the quote. He said, "Do not fill out the portal information. I've made my status very clear as far as the vaccine, but I do not believe the city has the authority to mandate that to anybody, let alone that information about your medical history." He went on to say, "I can guarantee you that no pay status will not last more than 30 days. There's no way they're going to be able to sustain a police department workforce at 50% capacity or less for more than 7 days without something budging. And for that, he is being accused of staging and inducing an insurrection because he points out that it's fucking Chicago, and Chicago cannot operate with half of their police force out on no pay. Because it's fucking Chicago. It's almost 700 murders throughout October, Chicago. And he's not wrong. Can you just imagine? It'll be like the purge out there. If they get rid of half of their police department. I mean, not only that, is there this giant union, right? They're gonna have lawyers, they're gonna have all kinds of people fighting this. So there's going to be so many lawsuits and legal mumbo-jumbo crap going back and forth. There's no way that this would be sustainable. But B, again, just the fact that, again, it is Chicago, the city, cannot survive with only half of their police department. I see Glockster for Kids is saying, have you noticed that we, as an armed citizenry, have the most polite insurrections in history? Yes, him telling people to follow their conscience and not violate their own privacy and not follow along with this illegal and unconstitutional mandate is an insurrection. Free speech is an insurrection these days in the US and especially apparently in Chicago. A reporter asked Lightfoot on Monday, the big question is why legal action, but can I also put it this way, there's a different tone from the Chicago Public Schools, from Pedro Martinez. He was asked what's going to happen to those who don't have their vaccines, and he said the other day, we're going to work with them, we're going to talk with them, we're going to make sure and try to understand what's going on. So why a different tone for the public schools as opposed to the police? And Lori Lightfoot says, well, I don't think that there is a different tone. So apparently there is no difference between saying to your teachers union, well, we're going to try to work with you, and telling your police, fuck you, you're not getting your retirement benefits and you're staging an insurrection and we're going to make sure you can't carry a gun. She says there is no difference to this. No difference between the two. I mean, what? And she says, well, you know, so this other guy has stated over and over again in agreement with the union so that one is circumstantial difference, that every adult in the system has to be vaccinated, and that agreement was reached months ago, and they've been working very hard to execute on that agreement, reach within all the collective bargaining agencies that employ schools, or employ folks with the Chicago public school system. So it's a very different set of circumstances, and I think he believes it's going to be very small groups that remain, either unvaccinated or not signing up. And so he understands, though, that accountability is important, as do we, which is a non-answer answer. Like, that doesn't really even make sense. She's like, oh, well, they were working on it longer, and so that's why he's being nice to them. We didn't work on this as long, and that's why I'm just dicking everyone around. Basically, is her answer. And she said, well, you asked the question of why the lawsuit, because we believe that the Fraternal Order of Police leadership is trying to foment an illegal work stoppage, a strike. Pure and simple, we've laid that out in the materials, and we're not having that. The contract is clear, and it's been known for a long time that the police unions are not authorized to strike. It's in their collective bargaining agreement. It's a matter of state law. Well, I would imagine if you are coming out and doing this unconstitutional mandate, I would say that's a breach of contract, right? If that mandate, if she wants to go down to the nitty-gritty and say, well, we have a contract, well, where in that contract does it say that they have to get vaccinated and provide you this very specific private health information? I would argue that Chicago, by trying to get that information and force that mandate, they've broken their contract, thus no contract exists, and thus they have every right to strike. and, retire, do whatever they're going to do. That's what I would say. If we're gonna really bring this down to the nitty gritty, trust me, libertarians and ANCAPs, we know all about contracts. You can't mess with us and try to claim that something is in a contract, because we'll be like, hey, look, show me the fine print. I would like her to show us the fine print of where in this contract that they've had for years, does it say that they have to submit private personal health information and submit to a COVID vaccination. I would say that it's probably not there. And then she goes to the next step and accuses the police of misinformation and half-truths and frankly flat-out lies in order to induce an insurrection. The irony of accusing a law enforcement union and organization of staging an insurrection. I wish they would. I mean, that would be hilarious to me. That would serve Chicago right after all the unconstitutional things that they have done to their citizenry, after all the privacy violations, the tax violations, the Second Amendment violations, everything, just the general strangling of freedom and liberty in general in Chicago. Go for it, man. Yeah, Chicago PD. Half of you go retire, do what Lori Lightfoot is calling an insurrection, and no, YouTube, I am not calling for violence. People wanting to retire early is not violence, so we're just gonna nip that in the bud right there, and you NSA agents watching, you don't have to take that seriously. But, if she wants to call it an insurrection, we're just playing a game of semantics. Fine. And then she says that not only that, but because the president of the Fraternal Order issued that statement and that video telling the officers to follow their conscience and saying that realistically Chicago cannot afford to lose half of its police department, she says, well, now he has destroyed his police career and is threatening him. She says, let me be very clear about this. John Catanzara has destroyed his police career, destroyed it. He's not fit, she says, and he's never going to go back to the department in any kind of active position. I don't want him to lead these young officers astray and have them destroy their careers like he's destroyed his. If you ignore a directive of your supervisor, or worse, a direct order that's lawfully given, and that is a crock of shit, it is not lawfully given, you're going to destroy your career. So you know what she's also saying right here? That equates to telling her officers that they just need to follow orders. You know who else was just following orders? I don't think I have to name names. I think you guys know. That is what she is expecting. She is expecting people to just fall in line and follow the orders, no matter how illegal or unconstitutional, unethical, or immoral they might be. She is expecting blind obedience from the police. She says that if you don't do that, it's going to follow you forever. And she says, over what? Going to a website and clicking yes or no, as if it's really about the website. And she says, and if no, saying that you're going to sign up for testing, really, that's worth it? I don't think it is. Well, and that's the difference between Lori Lightfoot and any of these people with a conscience or any freedom-minded. Remember, these police officers, technically speaking, swore an oath to the Constitution. They did not swear an oath to defend Lori Lightfoot and her unlawful, illegal edicts. They technically swore an oath to the Constitution, and this mandate, whether the courts find it that way or not, you or I know, is unconstitutional. just saying. Yeah, I see people in the chat doing the little like SpongeBob mocking font saying lawfully given. Exactly. So she says, oh, and we're not going to allow them to jeopardize public safety by not doing the vaccine mandate. And then she says, oh, well, this guy has made it seem like he's in charge, but he's really not. And acting as if he alone can determine staffing and whether or not officers come to work. And she even says it herself. Officers swear an oath to abide by the U.S. Constitution, the state constitution, and the laws of this city. But you know what comes first is the Constitution. And what she's doing, like I said, is unconstitutional. So, not only is she, again, accusing these folks of staging an insurrection, of threatening to destroy their careers, saying that this guy's never going to be able to go back to the police department, accusing them of lies and misinformation and fake news and yada, 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 threatening to take their retirement away, their retirement benefits. So, well, you know what? Now we have city workers that are also suing. And on top of that, we have, I thought that I pulled it up, but here we go. Indiana says, well, you know what? Chicago police, we're hiring, come over here. Only a couple days after Lori Lightfoot accused the Chicago police of staging an insurrection, Indiana says, come on over, we're hiring. Senator Mike Braun told Fox News in a statement this week, our police do the hardest job in the world and they deserve respect. Not losing their pay or being fired for refusing to comply with a ridiculous vaccine mandate. And he is encouraging the 3,000 Chicago cops defying this government overreach to go to his state of Indiana. He says Indiana police departments are hiring now and will welcome you with the respect you deserve. So that would be pretty hilarious if these guys just said, fine, F you, Lori Lightfoot, packed up and left. Everything is an insurrection these days. Everything I don't like is an insurrection. I see that we got in a few more super chats here. I see Destiny Troll says, have you heard that the Navy is threatening to make the Navy SEALs who declined the jab back pay the money for their tactical training? According to the Daily Wire. I saw some people mention it in the chat recently, but I have not actually read any articles about it. Glockstar for Kids also says if they identify as 11-year-olds, they can't have vaccines. Well, the argument then would probably be like, oh, well, if you identify as an 11-year-old, then you're not old enough for a gun permit or something. I bet that they would find a way to twist it that way. Andrew Kang says, tell our enemies that they may take our careers, but they'll never take our freedom. And Squid Monkey says, Lightfoot giving a damn about anything that doesn't keep her in power is a threat. Yep, I mean, that's what it is she probably recognizes that if this goes through and now they're saying 3,000 cops, whatever it is, whether it's half 3,000, whatever amount, if they are threatening to quit or retire early over this and she allows that to happen, she's not getting, well, I would like to say she's not getting reelected. I mean, Gavin Newsom somehow won his bid to stay as governor, so like, who knows what can happen these days. Joe Biden supposedly won Georgia, so who knows what can happen these days. But man, oh man. Man, oh man. Pickle Jars for Hillary says Alex Jones was right. It's terrifying how many things he's been right about, quite frankly. Andrew Kang says it's a Beetlejuice face. Maybe if you say her name 3 times, she'll go away. She is a creepy looking woman, I'm not gonna lie. And I had to laugh because someone in the Patreon Discord said earlier, well, you know what, she really did need that haircut during the pandemic because something needs to be done. Oh, and they are not wrong. Um, John Thomas says, so Kyrie Irving stood up against the NBA over mandate, and Enes Kanter put China on blast over Tibet and Uyghurs. I don't know who those people are. I don't follow anything with sports ball. But, yeah, putting China on blast will get you fired from things real quick, it turns out. Q, thanks for the tip, says, when is Lightfoot going to get in trouble for that haircut during the lockdown? That's funny, because that's what I was just talking about. Never. Probably do as I say, not as I do. That is the politician way. All right, so it's 8:10. We're gonna go to this next story real quick because this one is a doozy, and I had seen it's strange because there was an article that came out that I saw in Zero Hedge, right? And I really like Zero Hedge. I think that it's funny that they say everything is written by Tyler Durden. And there are going to be some people that don't trust Zero Hedge, but I really like they sum things up pretty good. They update their stories with a lot of details, and they always put in their sources. So you can always go and find the direct sources to see where they're getting their information. And so that's what I usually do. I start with a Zero Hedge article, and then I do like the deep dive for all of their sources. So what's interesting here is we have these reports now with proof that NIH they funded gain-of-function research on COVID, all right? And that they gave another organization 5 days to report this data. But what's interesting, and there's a New York Post article as well, and it mentions a report from The Intercept. The Intercept report is from September 9th, which is really interesting. And the September 9th article from The Intercept says that the National Institute of Health documents provide new evidence that the U.S. funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. I don't know why this was reported back in September from The Intercept and just isn't getting picked up by other outlets until now. But according to the New York Post, the National Institutes of Health has stunningly admitted to funding gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses, specifically at China's Wuhan lab, despite Dr. Anthony Fauci repeatedly insisting to Congress that no such thing happened. And we already suspected as much from the Fauci emails. It just, it was implied, but it wasn't, and you could piece it together from some of the conversations that were being had, but he denied it up and down that it was a thing. So in a letter to Representative James Comer, I don't know, from Kentucky, on Wednesday, a top NIH official blamed EcoHealth Alliance, the New York City-based nonprofit that has funneled U.S. funds to the Wuhan lab, for not being transparent about the work it was doing. So they are scapegoating someone else. NIH's principal deputy director, Lawrence A. Tabak, wrote in the letter that EcoHealth's limited experiment tested whether spike proteins from naturally occurring bat coronaviruses circulating in China were capable of binding to the human ACE2 receptor in a mouse model. So they literally had a bat coronavirus that was circulating around China and were messing and experimenting with it to see if they could get it to bind to human receptor cells. That is literally what the NIH was funding in China. Gain-of-function research, ladies and gentlemen, that's what this is. This is gain-of-function research. The lab mice infected with the modified virus became sicker than those that were given the unmodified virus, according to this fellow. As sometimes occurs in science, this was an unexpected result of the research as opposed to something that the researchers set out to do. Well, but it says that they literally were testing whether the spike proteins could attach to human cells, and then they're like surprised that it worked and that those mice became exceptionally sick as compared to the other mice. Like, okay. And they're saying, well, that wasn't the point, but in the letter he says that that was the point. So gain of function research, for those of you that don't remember when we talked about this a couple months ago, refers to viruses being taken from animals before they are genetically altered in a lab to make them more transmissible to humans. So that is gain of function research. What they're admitting to here fits the bill for that. The admission from the NIH official directly contradicts Fauci's testimony to Congress in May and July when he denied the U.S. had funded gain-of-function projects in Wuhan. And here we have the actual article, or the actual letter here. Let's see if we can make it big enough for you guys. So, sent on October 20th, dear Representative Comer, thank you for your continued interest in the work of the NIH. I am writing today to provide additional information and documents regarding NIH's grant to EcoHealth Alliance, Inc., aka their current scapegoat. It is important to state at the outset that published genomic data demonstrate that the bat coronaviruses studied under the NIH grant to EcoHealth Alliance and sub-award to the Wuhan Institute of Virology are not and could not have become SARS-CoV-2. Yeah, okay. How? How do they know that? They don't. They're just saying that to try and cover their butts. Both the progress report and the analysis attached here again confirm that conclusion, as the sequences of the viruses are genetically very distant. Even if that is the case, even if that is true, it is still proof that they were doing gain-of-function research and that NIH was funding it specifically at Wuhan, and Dr. Fauci said that that never happened, and he completely lied while testifying to Congress on several occasions about it. Like, that's still perjury. Whether this really became COVID-19 or not, Dr. Fauci lied to Congress. The fifth and final progress report for the grant is attached with redactions only for personally identifiable information. This progress report was submitted to NIH in August of 2021 in response to the compliance enforcement efforts. It includes data from a research project conducted during the 2018 to 2019 grant period using bat coronavirus genome sequences already existing in nature. And it won't show the rest of it because I zoomed in. But you get the idea. Fauci has repeatedly clashed with Republican senators, most notably Rand Paul, who have accused him of lying about the gain-of-function research. And, of course, he took to Twitter, Mr. Rand Paul, and said, "I told you so doesn't even begin to cover it here." So it's notable that in the letter, the guy did not actually use the term gain-of-function, but he alluded to it, said EcoHealth, which is run by British scientist Peter Daszak. We've seen this name before. Failed to comply with the terms of the grant, which required it to report immediately a 1 log increase in growth. He was, if I remember correctly, this was one of the guys that was implicated in some of those email chains that we saw in the Fauci emails. And it's really unfortunate that part of that is getting cut off on the screen. So the British are involved too, apparently. EcoHealth failed to report this finding right away, as was required by the terms of the grant. EcoHealth is being notified that they have 5 days from today to submit to NIH any and all unpublished data from the experiments and work conducted under this award. According to him, the NIH reviewed EcoHealth's research plan in advance of approving the grant, but claims that it wasn't subjected to additional review at the time as it didn't fit the definition of research involving enhanced pathogens of pandemic potential because these bat coronaviruses had not been shown to infect humans. But then they made them and fucked with them to be able to infect humans. And again, they're blaming someone else. Payback said that if EcoHealth had alerted NIH to the growth, it would have prompted a review to determine if the research plan should be reevaluated. So it's their fault. So Fauci lied about it. They did gain-of-function research, but they're not the ones that are at fault. It's this other EcoHealth Alliance organization for not reporting it properly. And that's who they're trying to put the blame on for the COVID pandemic. And again, he insisted that it has nothing to do with COVID-19 because genetically they're so different, blah, blah, blah. But again, as recently as last month, Fauci was accused of lying about gain-of-function research after documents obtained by the Intercept detailed grants given to EcoHealth Alliance for bat coronavirus studies. And that is that September article here that details documents that they have here from EcoHealth Alliance and NIH about gain-of-function research. So it's not until these documents were obtained, Fauci was caught red-handed, that now suddenly there is this letter going to Congress and saying, oh, we didn't do it. It was this other company. It was this other organization. And the grant proposal was detailed in the trove of documents, and it was for a project titled Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence, which involved screening thousands of bat samples, as well as people who worked with live animals for novel coronaviruses. I mean, it's pretty sus, right? It's sketchy. It's interestingly coincidental, we'll say. I see Indiana Tony is in the chat and says, come on, Poke, do a pandemic. Basically. Talisman says, yep, create a bioweapon without a common cure. Tada is saying a backdoor way of manufacturing biological weapons. Absolutely. And there were some people that were speculating this, and remember, they were being called conspiracy theorists. These same people were saying, oh, there's going to be vaccine passports, and they were called conspiracy theorists. Well, look at this now. We have vaccine mandates and vaccine passports, and we have proof of gain-of-function research. But it's all a conspiracy theory, you see. So it was a $3.1 million grant that was awarded for a 5-year period between 2014 and 2019, and the funding was renewed in 2019, but it was suspended by the Trump administration in April of 2020. The grant directed almost $600,000 to the Wuhan Institute of Virology for bat coronavirus research. The proposal acknowledged the risks of such research, saying, quote, fieldwork involves the highest risk of exposure to SARS or other coronaviruses while working in caves with high bat density overhead and the potential for fecal dust to be inhaled. Again, on top of the fact that they were mucking around with these viruses to see if they could get them to infect humans. There we have it. So this was from yesterday. I'm going to pop over to this Zero Hedge article to see if they have any extra stuff, because sometimes they do. So we have about binding to the ACE2 human receptor, that it was not reported. The organization has been given 5 days to submit any and all unpublished data from the experiments and work conducted. I would almost be willing to say that any of these documents, they might not even exist anymore. After everything that's happened, after Fauci lying and saying that this research didn't exist, I would be very surprised if these documents do actually pop up. So again, we have a copy of the letter here, and it was posted to Twitter. It says NIH corrects untruthful assertions by NIH Director Collins and NIAID Director Fauci that NIH, there's a lot of acronyms here, had not funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. NIH states that EcoHealth Alliance violated terms and conditions of NIH grant AI 110964. Let's see if we can get this bigger. It's not going to let me. That's really unfortunate. All right, well, I will put this tweet in the chat. How about that? So you guys can go and read the letter for yourselves. He goes on to say that they received the relevant documents in 2018 and reviewed them in 2020 and again in 2021. The NIH, specifically Collins, Fauci, and Tabak, lied to Congress, lied to the press, and lied to the public knowingly, willfully, and brazenly. So there we have it. And this person says, so if I understand it correctly, it's implied here that primates and viruses evolve at the same rate. Doesn't sound quite right to me, but then I'm not a biologist. So this, it says, well, it might appear the similarity of this and that coronavirus to SARS-CoV-2 is close because it overlaps by 96 to 97%. So he said that they were very genetically different, but here it says that their genetic code overlaps by 96 to 97%. I feel like that's a lot, but I'm not a virologist. Experts agree that even these viruses are far too divergent to have been the progenitor of SARS-CoV-2. For comparison, today's human genome is 96% similar to our closest ancestor, the chimpanzee. Humans and chimpanzees are thought to have diverged approximately 6 million years ago. So, yeah, that does kind of sound like he's suggesting that the evolution that took place 6 million years ago, like since then, is the same as evolution in viruses, which really is not how that works. Viruses mutate very quickly. That's like biology 101. I could be wrong, but that doesn't sound quite right. So, yeah. Not like, did you ever think it would be this bad? Oh man, oh man. Let's see, do they have anything extra here? How many times can one grantee violate the terms and conditions of one grant without being penalized? Apparently, if the grantee is EcoHealth Alliance, the number is at least 4. And I'll give you guys this thread as well. The NIH bat coronavirus grant report was submitted more than 2 years late. Oh my goodness. That's also from The Intercept. Well, I'll pop that for you as well. Violation number 1 was no funds are provided and no funds can be used to support gain-of-function research covered under the October 17th, 2014 White House announcement. Violation 2, should any of the MERS-like or SARS-like chimeras generated under this grant show evidence of enhanced virus growth greater than 1 log over the parental backbone strain, you must stop all experiments with these viruses. Violation 3. Should any of the MERS-like or SARS-like chimeras generated under this grant show evidence of enhanced virus growth greater than 1 log over the parental backbone strain, you must provide the program officer and grants management specialist with data. Violation number 4, the progress reports document grantee recipient accomplishments and compliance with terms of award. Progress reports are due the 15th of the month preceding the month in which the budget period ends. So it should have been that if the budget period ended on November 30th, the due date would be October 15th. Oh, we have more. Violation 5. Effective February 9th, 2017, if the recipient organization has submitted a renewal application on or before the date by which a final RPPR would be required for the current competitive segment, then submission of an interim RPPR via ERA Commons is now required. So more reports that they didn't do. The NIAID defines a highly pathogenic agent as an infectious agent or toxin that may warrant a biocontainment safety level of BSL-3 or higher. When submitting future progress reports, indicate at the beginning of the report if your IBC or equivalent body or official has determined, for example by conducting a risk assessment, that the work being planned or performed under the grant may be conducted at a safety level that is lower than BSL-3. And we have a 7th violation, an 8th violation. So 7 is when submitting future progress reports, indicate at the beginning of the report any changes in the use of the agents, including its restricted experiments that have resulted in a change in required biocontainment level and any change in location. And violation 8. When submitting future progress reports, indicate at the beginning of the report if work with a new or additional agent is proposed in the upcoming project period. Provide a list of the new and/or additional agents that will be studied. So, I mean, you can go ahead and say, yes, that this is EcoHealth's alliance for issue and fault and problem for doing all of these violations, but the question does remain, how were they able to get away with all of these things and do all of this without even so much as a slap on the wrist from NIH? Why was NIH not checking in on them? How did any of this, how was all of this able to come together the way that it did? And the thing is Fauci said there was no gain-of-function research. He can't even claim that he didn't know that there was gain-of-function research because it's in his emails. That was the whole issue that ended up with those Congress testimonials over the late spring and through summer, was because of these emails where he was implying gain-of-function research and he was in China's pockets and all of this, and he said no, 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 no. So he knew about it. No one checked in on it, and if they did check in on it, then they didn't document it or they didn't do anything about it. So whose fault is it really? You can't just blame one person or one organization for this. This was a systemic failure across multiple layers. So I think I just put the link for this in the chat, but we'll put it again just in case, so you can read the article for yourself and all of the violations there. So it is now 8:30. I'm gonna go through and see. Oh, Jeff Tank, welcome to the channel and becoming a member. You will find the members only, you can find the members only and Patreon subscribe star only Discord. Once you, well, now that you're a member of the channel, you should be able to go to the community tab and there should be a members only post there with the Discord link. Not sure yet how to make it automatic with YouTube, and I think the links expire after 7 days, so I'm gonna have to keep re-upping that, but it should be good for now. All right, so thanks everyone for tuning in late, patiently, impatiently, however we want to say it. And yes, Stephen Dow, it is very close to the V for Vendetta plot. So again, I'm sorry that I came in so late today. The good news is that all of this has distracted me and I'm now feeling much better. So that's good. And people telling me to drink and hydrate. Shall do that. And yes, I do lose track of time, and the funny thing is in this chat window, when you guys tag me, it pops up orange. It does not over in this window. But, so everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thank you again to the mods and folks who were in yesterday's stream as well, and the mods who came and held down the fort until I could get here today. And thank you for sticking around through it. Thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you everyone for the super chats, the donations, for diaper funds, and things like that. The new members to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. I believe there are enough of you now where I can make some more little cute emojis and things and stick them on there, because YouTube limits you to how many you can have until you have like a certain number of members. I think that's it. Thanks for the likes and the shares and putting up with this bumpy, rocky road and channel upload schedule that we now have in the third trimester. So, I will definitely see you guys on the next video. At the very least, I will see you guys on the next live stream. I might end up doing some videos if I can figure out how to do it where I record directly to OBS and upload that way to make it faster and easier and flow better with the, you know, everything coming together now that the perpetual exhaustion is starting to sink in at week 33. And people are asking for the bump. It's hard to see because I'm wearing all black, but we'll do the bump. Ugh. Ugh. Here we go. Here's the bump. It has reached the point where people see me and they know that I'm having a girl, which is interesting. So here's the bump. Oh god, it actually looks really big on screen. Oh my god. Wow. Oh, that's intense. Oh my goodness. There's a big old baby in there. And on Liberty Doggo, he is around. He's moved across the room now, but he is here. Whew. Oh man, actually standing up just now took a lot of energy. Alright guys, thank you again, and I will see you on the next one. Good night, everyone.